At the beginning of 2017, if you had told me the Switch would be the biggest console of the year, I probably would have laughed. I mean, I was still really sore about the Wii U, a $350 piece of trash that Nintendo decided to smother in the crib with the Nintendo Switch. You see, after the Wii U, I kind of thought that the Wii was a bit of a fluke. A weird, gimmicky fluke that managed to hit just the right market at just the right time. And I was kind of doubtful that Nintendo's weird, innovative pathways would lead it back to another one of those. Little did I expect Nintendo's 3-hit combo of first-party launch titles to hit as hard as they did. First there was Breath of the Wild that blew everybody's fucking pants off. Then there was Super Mario Odyssey that followed it up incredibly well. And then, of course, you've got the knockout punch for me. This is Xenoblade Chronicles 2, a game that consumed my entire December.
And my January.
What the hell are you guys doing here?
You asked us to be here.
You invited us over.
Joining me today, for the first time ever, I have guests. We're going to talk about video games. We're going to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles 2, also known as Animu Chronicles 2, Xenoboob Chesticles 2, whatever you want to call it. And joining me today is my good friend, Dr. Keith. And I'm still not sure why you're here.
You didn't even play this game.
That's my camera.
Fair
And
enough.
joining me is Mark.
Hello.
You're forgetting someone.
Who? Oh, our operator. Behind the camera, our operator.
Yeah.
Thank
Her
you.
name is Operator.
Hello,
Thank you.
operator.
How can I direct your call?
You are looking fantastic.
How can I direct your video today?
I wish someone could look at you on camera. Oh, wait.
So 66% of us decided to play a video game called Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for the Nintendo Switch by Monolith Soft and published by Nintendo. And I don't usually talk about Nintendo games on this channel for a very specific reason. They're the only company who's ever copyright claimed me. Fucking dicks.
They gotta protect their brand.
What?
And their anime king.
From me? From fucking me?
Anime titties are a lucrative concept.
Now place your hand on my chest.
But this is a game that took me 225 hours to beat, so if you're wondering why my grades sunk and I haven't put out a video in forever and I was off Twitter, that's why. Thank you, Nintendo. Yeah.
Shall we get into the game?
I guess we can talk about the game.
I know everything about it.
I'm glad
Clearly.
I'm glad that you know everything about it. So, there's a funny story behind this game. You see, E3 2017, me and my good friend Dr. Keith here were actually watching the E3 together, and the trailer for this game came up.
Yeah, I did.
And mind you, I'd never played Xenoblade Chronicles 1, I'd never played Xenoblade Chronicles X, neither of us, I think, had.
No.
I don't know if he had a Wii or something. But we watched this trailer, and I distinctly recall thinking to myself, look at this anime trash, and also, her boobs are at a 90-degree angle.
Yeah. I had not fully successfully incorporated him into weeb culture yet.
Oh my god. By the way, if you're in my Discord and you've wondered why I talk about anime from time to time, this motherfucker right here, you can blame him. You can blame this motherfucker. And that's why you two are gonna have to deal with it. All his fault. Don't blame me.
We watched an anime movie the other day. It was horrible.
Redline?
You didn't like
Fuck
Red
you!
I will go easy on you. Out of my way! There's nothing in this world I cannot smell.
Do you want to describe to the wonderful viewers at home what the fuck we just played?
Well, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is an action JRPG that is...
Are you just reading my script?
No.
He's looking at the right place.
I personally quite enjoyed it.
I did too, actually.
Yeah.
Which is why it took me 225 hours to finish. But, yeah, it is a JRPG's JRPG. It's the kind of game where you need to read a textbook on how to level up your character once or twice.
Whenever I was playing, I had to have something open on my computer screen in front of me with just combos.
Oh yeah, the combo listing is ridiculous.
I'm off frame, aren't I?
You're good.
Okay.
Oh, you just ruined that shot.
Sorry.
Ah!
I found that whenever I had to play the game, I had to have like a list of combos like right in front of me, just know what I was doing. So why don't you explain it to Mark? Because he's never played the game.
Oh, right.
We should probably do that.
I mean,
How do you fight?
you press the A button and then it swings the sword and then it hits the bad guy.
That sounds complicated.
And then
Multifaceted, even.
it's one of those JRPGs where you really need a textbook to figure out the whole game.
Probably why I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, did you Final Fantasy VIII? Have you played?
Yes.
No. Yes.
Long time ago. First Final Fantasy I ever
I would
played.
hope you've played Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh, amazing.
It has something kind of similar to Junctions, almost, with blades. Like, okay, so
Oh, that's
so each
interesting.
character has a harem of up to 3 anime girls that he or she keeps with them.
Harem?
I call it a harem.
Okay, fair
I call it
enough.
a harem,
Yes.
but it's not actually a harem.
Yes.
It's
the Harem Chronicles.
you have
Dude.
your anime girl Pokemon, and you have 3 of them per character, and they're your weapons.
Do
and
they evolve?
Some of them do.
Can you press B to evolve? No, never mind. Continue.
Some of
She's
them-
unlocked the big ol' anime titties, fucking Affinity.
Yeah.
But you have your little your character. Each character has up to 3 weapons. The weapons give them different abilities. You attack things with your basic auto attack to charge up your abilities. You use these abilities to charge up special attacks. You cue these special attacks together in order to create combos. And then with all these combos, you use giant chain attacks to finally finish it off and do huge amounts of stupid damage. It's this overly complicated layer cake of combat mechanics.
Everybody loves cake.
Yeah, that's true. It's a very delicious layer cake of combat mechanics. But it plays into itself well, especially the fact that some of the fights in this game can go like 20 minutes.
Ooh.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh.
Big, almost MMORPG style boss battles.
Just about to say that. I was like, as someone who can't really dedicate 2 hours to fighting one dragon,
I wouldn't say 2 hours, but
2 hours if you're a filthy fucking casual.
I am a filthy fucking casual.
Also, did you just censor yourself?
I did. I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
I don't know. Something about
I
swearing.
just called you a filthy fucking casual.
Everybody knows me in real life, even the operator, but for some reason on camera I have to censor
As
myself.
soon as they turn the camera on, you're trying to be PC.
I know.
You're the least PC person I know.
I don't know.
So a lot of people have
Anyways.
criticized the art design of this game because whoever did the character designs for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has he has very front-loaded tastes.
he's a boob man.
He's a boob man. He loves his big old titties.
Assets.
And
Huge tracts of land.
Yes, I believe they all do have huge tracts of land.
that's one of the criticisms. That's why I call this game Xenoboob Chesticles 2. So a lot of the character designs have been questionable from a fan service perspective. What did you think of that?
I
I know you watch a lot of anime.
I do watch a lot of anime. The fan service in it was sort of, on the one hand, it was there in the character designs, and you had your sort of classic anime trope: guy trips and bumps into the girl, and he accidentally gropes her, and that's in it, just like it's in a lot of anime. But
Why do I
It
like
was-
this genre?
compared to some of the raunchiest animes out there, it was pretty toned down, and it was pretty respectful of the characters. They were definitely trying to go for something a bit more serious with the characters, whereas they just had this
You didn't unlock.
Design.
Did you unlock Delilah in your playthrough?
Dahlia, you mean?
Dahlia, yeah, that's the one.
Oh yeah,
So rabbit girl with F cups. It's
yeah, they're
actually
like out
fucking
here.
ridiculous.
They're out here.
A physics impossibility.
Oh, physical impossibility. She would be
Op,
dead.
if you wanna
Her
look
spine
up
would snap.
Dahlia.
Like, oh god.
Oh yeah.
Dahlia.
Dahlia. It's
We'll put it up on the screen.
not good.
Is that what that is?
DAH.
We're trying to like talk about this game in a good light, but like anybody who doesn't appreciate this is one thing that I'm going to say about the
appreciate.
game right now. I know you appreciate it, but I'm going to say this about this game right now. If you don't appreciate
Go for
anime
that. Yeah,
tropes,
that art. Yeah, there you go.
if you don't
Lord!
They're wider than her hips.
I could park an airplane on that. In fact, I could.
Wait, does she have claws?
Yes.
Yes, she's a rabbit girl.
She's a literal rabbit. Those are rabbit ears. That are
Yeah, those are definitely rabbit ears.
Oh.
Sticking out of her chest.
But the point I'm trying to make is,
Does she
this
fall
game-
over a lot?
I'm assuming she does.
I never
She
used her in
doesn't
my
hurt.
playthrough.
I never used her
I
either.
never really used her. I was too busy using Ursula because Ursula's just better.
Fuck, you say that now. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you don't appreciate this, you might not like this game. It's this game has every fucking anime trope ever. There's like
Yeah, it does.
there's the tsunderes, yanderes, like the only way this game could be more of a fucking anime is if it was set in a high school.
Yeah.
It's
There's no high school stuff in it, which
if you don't appreciate anime, you won't like this game.
generally, yeah. And if you don't have a high tolerance for fan service, like
I don't
some
think you need
people,
a high tolerance. I don't have a high tolerance for fan service. I hate that shit.
Some people.
Some
people.
people. Maybe my tolerance is limited since you started introducing me to grossness.
well,
Yeah, no, the operator
Absolutely.
probably.
I don't. No.
yeah.
No.
In all honesty, I'm with you there, but you know,
I don't think
I'm
you
on
are.
camera now, so I have to be with them.
He's just trying to like make him endear himself to the operator.
The
Don't
fan
believe him.
service isn't
Full of shit. He's full of shit.
the fan service isn't as like malicious or exploitative as some of other anime properties can be. So I'd say it's fine to give it a pass. It's just sort of there in the character designs.
If you're somebody who pursues
Sort of
JRPGs like
there.
I do,
wow.
In the character.
It's
design.
there in the character designs. It's not really ever.
if you're somebody who
Nobody
pursues,
ever references it.
They're
in the
not
game.
wearing any pants.
Yeah.
her boobs are bigger than some of the characters.
Hey, look
Wow.
at the proportion of her head to her.
Well,
Yeah.
are her boobs bigger than Finch? I don't know.
You could Tora could probably live comfortably
I
between
believe
them.
she's gonna have some back problems. And I say this as a lover of memories.
Yeah.
Where the hell was I? I totally forgot what point I was trying to make. Talking about big old anime titties.
Who would like this
Big-ass
game?
anime
You
titties.
definitely.
People, okay, so if you enjoy the Tales games, you'll love this game. If you enjoy the Idea Factory games, you'll love this game, but you'll realize it's a lot less cringy than shit like that. If you enjoy general JRPGs, you'll probably like this game, despite some of this shit. Alright, so let's get into some fucking spoilers.
All right, yeah, let's do it.
Spoily spoils. So, first off, let's kind of break down the plot, because the plot of this game is really, really simple. Like, it's basic.
Like any good fantasy story, like any JRPG, it's basically just a big ass road trip.
Yeah, it is. So, I'll go quick synopsis. So, we meet a boy named Rex. Rex is an indeterminate, around 15-year-old kid. Rex is a salvager, professionally dives under the cloud line to get salvage from the old world. One day he's contracted by a bunch of Sephiroth-looking motherfuckers who decide to stab him in the back in the middle of the job, and then he meets Pyra. And Pyra is an older woman who's interested in a polyamorous relationship with Rex. The two of them run afoul of the Sephiroth-looking motherfuckers, and then go on an adventure to a giant tree. Along the way, they meet a whole bunch of different characters, including a cat girl, literal Welsh cat girl, a weird fetish gremlin, whatever the fuck Zeke is.
Zeke's just an edgelord.
He's just an edgelord. And then, of course, Jacob Taylor.
Yeah, Morag's an issue.
It's just funny. No, she's not an issue. It's just really funny to me. It's another one of those... Okay, so, let me describe something weird here. There's something I like to call the Jacob Taylor effect in some games. If you ever played Mass Effect 2, you know what the Jacob Taylor effect is.
Yeah.
In Mass Effect 2, you have your crew. And everybody on your crew is these, like, exceptional badasses. Like, you've got Jack, who's, like, the greatest biotic ever. And, you've got, like, Legion, who's a Geth supercomputer, and all of these other characters who are somehow crazy remarkable. And then you have Jacob Taylor.
Thane.
Oh, yeah, Thane Krios, one of the best assassins ever. And then you got Jacob Taylor. Jacob Taylor is just a dude in amongst all these. He's probably so generic that you didn't realize who I was talking about, even if you were a huge fan of the games, until I actually brought up who it was.
Every character he named, I actually figured out. And it was after the conversation was like, Oh, right, that one guy I never used.
Jacob Taylor. As soon as you get the second character, he's the first one to get shunted out of the party.
Jacob, meet Miranda. Goodbye.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2, they have their own Jacob Taylor in the form of Morag, who's a character who just is, compared to everybody else in the party, you got like Rex, who's like this crazy fucking, the driver of the Aegis, this big fancy blade. You've got Tora, who's a gross little fetish gremlin who builds sex robots in his garage. You've got Nia, who's a cat girl and also a blade eater, or sorry, a flesh eater, so she's like an immortal crazy healer.
Yeah,
and you've got
you basically can bring people back from the dead.
And Zeke is the other way around. He ate bits of a blade, so he's like an immortal like blade eater. So
and it made him into an edgelord.
it made him into a total edgelord.
So when you say eating blades, is he eating these
No,
female
they got okay.
weapons?
Let's go into the concept of a blade.
Let's go into
eater.
the details.
Yeah.
So in the universe of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you have regular fucking people.
There's blades and there's people.
Yeah, and then you got blades.
Yeah.
Blades are ghosts that live in swords. They're anime girl Pokemon, is how I like to
they
think
are
of it.
anime girl Pokemon. They come out of these little rocks.
Yeah, you get them in these little rocks, and you have to play this fucking gotcha game bullshit to get them.
Loot boxes.
Loot boxes, which we'll get into in a minute. But they are essentially like an anime thing that follows you around and powers your sword. And they're like a person. They talk, they eat, they dream, presumably.
Do they dream? Do they?
I'm assuming so. And if a regular person eats chunks of a blade, they get superpowers. And
Not
if
really.
a blade eats chunks of a regular person, they become like, they don't die when the person who they're attached to dies.
Yeah, it's not really that they eat them. It's more like get pieces of
Oh, no.
the other one grafted onto them.
Jin actually eats his dead girlfriend.
I ate her.
He actually eats his dead girlfriend.
I like where this is going.
Like, she's lying on the field dying, and he starts eating her. That's a real thing that happens
Yeah, that
in the
did
game.
happen.
I mean,
Zeke gets his bit surgically implanted, but
Yeah.
there are characters who literally eat their dying master, and that's how they become blade eaters or flesh eaters.
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a little bit fucked up. A little bit fucked up. Almost as fucked up as how the villain of this game kills a baby, but it's different.
Well, we'll talk about
We'll
that.
talk about that later.
Well.
So, and then you got, out of all of these characters, you have Morag, who is, she's Special Inquisitor, cool, but she's utterly unremarkable compared to the rest.
She's supposed to be like
fact,
the best driver in the Empire,
but
which
she's
doesn't
also
really mean
soundly
anything.
beaten by a 15-year-old.
But
But
he's got the fucking Aegis. But...
yeah, but he's still a
And it's only-
15-year-old.
And it's only because he knocked a fucking water tower down on him.
Yeah, but he's still a 15-year-old. He's a 15-year-old who had the presence of mind to knock a water tower on her. Smart.
I guess.
You'd think that the best blade in the Empire would. My God, why are we arguing about this? God, I'm a nerd. I need to question every choice I've ever made in my life. You're just sitting here with that smug, shitty grin on your face. Holy shit.
I'm loving this.
So Morag is kind of, compared to the rest of the party, very unremarkable. She's probably got the weakest plot of any of the characters.
I find that she has a lot of good character development, though.
Not really.
Like, in terms of stuff with her brother, and she gets a lot of the good heart-to-heart talks.
She gets some of them. She gets my favorite heart-to-heart talk where Fetish Gremlin thinks that she's a boy.
Yeah.
Well, it is 2018.
That's true. That's very true. But yeah, why don't we talk about some more of these characters so you can understand what the fuck I'm talking about?
Sure, yeah. So, the main character of the game is a 15-year-old kid called Rex.
I don't know if he's
Shepard.
actually 15.
Rex.
Shepard.
And basically, he's the salvager. He's an orphan. He comes from this village. He's working for a living. He's sending money home. And he gets hired for this job by these mysterious people.
Sephiroth-looking motherfuckers.
Yeah. And he goes down to find this sunken ship and look through it, and he finds what they're looking for, which is this woman in a case who turns out to be Pyra. And after he finds it, the bad guys,
Sephiroth,
obviously the bad guys, they just stab him straight through the back. Pyra manages to save him, and he
Pyra saves him in the best way possible by letting him grab her chest.
Now place your hand on my chest.
Because,
Perfect.
Because
I am already
this
intrigued.
game has whoever the character designer and even the narrative designer were all in on this together.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's generally what I need if I'm about to die.
Grab somebody's boobs.
Lots of boobs.
I just wanted to make sure the operator's aware of this. She's the only one who'd be able to save me if I were to suddenly get stabbed in the back.
I can
by
probably
either
save
of
you.
you.
I can probably save you.
I'd still prefer the operator.
Yeah, you know what? I think we would all prefer the operator.
I don't think the operator would help. Sorry, guys.
Rex has this really kind of satisfying arc throughout the whole game, I find, where he is... Okay, so he's like your generic video game protagonist. He's like, we gotta help everybody and make sure everybody has a good day. Everybody has to be saved and all that. And throughout the game, he consistently fails to meet this. There's a character in the middle of the game called Van Damme, who you think is gonna be a party member, but surprise, he tries to self-sacrifice. You know, do the self-sacrifice. He stabs himself in the stomach. And during this scene, he kills himself to let them get away, and then Rex decides, no, I gotta save Van Damme, and completely nullifies it. Like an asshole.
Yeah, he just completely makes Van Damme's sacrifice completely irrelevant.
So what you're trying to tell me is, he got rosed.
Yeah.
Actually, he did. Titanic
unfortunate.
references.
That is unfortunate.
But yeah, self-sacrifice, so and as the story progresses, he does this multiple times, trying to save people, and then or completely and utterly ignoring their wishes and fucking everything up because he wants to save everybody.
And in the midst of this, he has a crisis of identity about how he's not good enough to save anybody.
Yeah, well, that's like chapter 8.
Yeah.
When he has the meme-worthy fucking fist moment. Have you seen that?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
literally a scene in chapter 8 where he does the Arthur fist.
The Arthur fist? Oh,
He does the Arthur fist. It's really funny.
We've reached levels of meme we shouldn't even be able to.
I know, right? But carrying on, and in fact, at the very end of the game, the completion of his whole character arc is realizing that he can't save somebody. That's Pyramithra, who it turns out they're alive anyways because who cares?
Let's talk about Pyramithra.
Pyramithra are our next characters.
Yeah, Pyra is basically the Aegis, which is big ass, really strong blade. Well, she doesn't have a big ass. She's got big tracts of land. But she saves Rex, and she seems to be this very compassionate, girl next door girlfriend type to him throughout the whole game.
Pyra, though, has a little bit of a secret in that she has severe bipolar disorder.
She's literally two people.
She's two people. So the idea is that she kind of snaps back and forth between two different personalities.
It's not even like snaps back. It's not snaps back between two different personalities even. They're literally two different people in the same body that just shift.
In fact,
back and forth.
then at the very end of the game, there's a third one named Numa, who is it's in charge of both of them. It's fucking weird.
Numa's supposed to be this combination of both of them.
I think. Well, yeah, Numa's the overriding personality. I'm both of them who've consolidated
Through her
into each other.
strange MacGuffin Aegis powers, Mithra was the one who was the original Aegis, who's talked about in the backstory, and then she created an offshoot of herself called Pyra.
As you do.
Pyra's the limit to her power, and Pyra doesn't really want to use her strange Aegis powers. But eventually Pyra allows herself to use them, and Mithra comes out, and then they have a back and forth for a while with Rex, and it's sort of a who's he gonna pick kind of thing. And eventually they just sort of combine, and she
reconciles the fear of her own ability, and that allows her to kind of return to having blue hair. I don't know.
Is it blue or is it green?
It's teal. StarCraft 1 teal.
She has a ponytail, that's all I know.
Point is, anime bullshit. Anime bullshit, anime bullshit. Yeah. If you can't take anime bullshit, this is not your game.
Yeah, if you don't like harem shit.
I wouldn't even call this... this is not a harem. This is...
Okay, fair.
I joke that it's a harem, but it's not. It's anime bullshit, but it's not that bad. But it is anime bullshit, to a pretty high degree.
Rex has about 3 proposed love interests in the game.
One of them he shuts down magnificently, and
Oh
my
my God.
favorite line of the
That brings
entire
us.
game.
That brings us to her as a character. Let's talk about Nia.
Nia, the Welsh cat, also known as if we make fun of her on this, the entire Xenoblade Chronicles subreddit, is gonna fucking crucify us.
Well, that's because she's best girl.
Yeah, get the fuck out. So Nia is Welsh cat. She is a Welsh cat girl who hangs out with the party, acts as their primary healer. Sorry, I just looked back at your facial expression and realized this is why we have you on the show.
Yes.
So her whole thing is she was like a blade to some lord, and the lord had a daughter, and the daughter died, so he made the blade eat the daughter.
So she would become the daughter.
To become the daughter, then she runs away because she's, you know,
Look at me.
15-year-old.
Look at me. I am the daughter now.
Anime bullshit. Anime bullshit, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
She goes on a whole quest of self-discovery to learn to not be such a huge bitch. And when she finally learns that lesson, she gets shut down in the most gloriously hilarious way possible. So it's
Cut to clip.
It's no secret in this game that Nia has a love interest with the main character.
Yeah.
And it slowly builds up. And then she finally makes a big confession at the bottom of this tomb.
I love you, Rex. Rex!
Nia, I love you too. I love you and all you guys. So, let's do this together.
You can actually see in the game the moment that her heart breaks. It's hilarious. It is it's a scene in which when I saw it, I laughed for like 10 minutes.
Which is kind of messed up because it seems that she went on this giant journey to not be a bitch. And then got her heart broken while she was dying.
I know, it's so fucking.
I get that that's anime trope and bullshit, but still.
I like the way that they handle it though, because at the very end of it, it's just like she's just like, yeah, okay, you got a thing with Pyra.
Ultimate friend zone.
Yeah.
Ultimate friend zone. She doesn't go back to being a bitch.
She's dead.
No, she's alive. She
survives.
survives. She
Yeah,
survives.
alright, she lives.
She doesn't
Makes
die.
it to the end of the
She
game.
dies on the inside.
She dies on the inside.
So one of my favorite fucking things about this whole game, though, is at the very end, once you beat the game, you get a new stream. You know, JRPGs do this a lot.
Yeah.
And once you beat the game normally, you have like Rex and he's standing in a grassy field, Pyra Mithra. It's like, oh, look at him, he's got his 2 girlfriends. Once you beat it on New Game Plus, they like turn around and like wave back, and then you can see Nia run up and join them. But no other characters on screen. The implications of this is that they've decided to get a little bit even more freaky with their relationship.
Yeah.
Oh God,
That's
why?
just a bad idea.
Yeah.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
You can handle it.
You can handle all 3 of it. So that leads us to the rest of the cast, who are
Yeah, let's talk.
like Fetish Gremlin.
Yeah,
Should we
let's talk about
Gremlin?
Fetish Gremlin.
So there's a Fetish
let us
Gremlin.
talk about
You
Fetish
want to
Gremlin.
pull up a picture of Fetish Gremlin there?
We should probably.
Absolutely.
You know what?
Keep the safe
I'm gonna say
search
don't
on.
search Fetish Gremlin.
Yes, I was gonna
I'm gonna say
keep search
search
on.
Torah.
Torah from Xenoblade.
Xenoblade 2 Torah.
And not Torah fetish, because you're gonna end up with some weird Jewish porn.
So he's a mechanic who lives in the middle of butt fucking nowhere.
And he builds sex robots.
He professionally builds sex robots. Throughout the game, he builds 3 of them. And
Are they actually sex robots?
no, but okay. So there's a scene when one of them pops up.
Ooh, Poppy! Poppy?
How may I be of service, Master?
Oh, wait a minute! Oh, forget you see that. Tora must change the settings.
This program is not just. This thing is not specifically designed to be a blade. It's kind of designed with other things in mind.
It's like 2049. There's
Oh,
an
yeah.
entire harem and then we keep going
Virtual
deeper into that
girlfriends.
rabbit hole of Asimov's laws. So let's just start with walking sex bomb. We'll go from there.
Yeah, fetish gremlin.
So-
I believe his character arc involves him building more advanced sex robots. throughout the entire game.
there's nothing else.
There's nothing much. There's Zeke, and Zeke has got a big story about him and Pandoria being like best bros, and or maybe
Low key fucking. They
Low-key
is
fucking.
low key fucking.
And then there's Morag.
That's Morag, the Flamebringer.
Morag.
Special Inquisitor Morag of Mor Ardain, the most powerful driver in the Empire, and wielder of Bridget, the most powerful blade.
So together they're like ultra powerful.
Yeah, she doesn't get an arc person.
Her fucking blade gets more of an arc than her.
Yeah, she does. Her blade gets a whole arc about what kind of person was she in her past life. Because when the blades go back into their crystal form, they lose all their memories.
Oh.
But they can get reawakened to be the same blade, but they don't have any of those old memories anymore.
This is some serious, like, philosophical conversation.
Yeah, it
Anime
is.
bullshit.
There's anime bullshit on one end, and then, like, serious philosophical implications on the other. There's a lot of whiplash.
There's a lot of altered carbon going on here.
I like Morag as a character. She was my tank for most of the game. But her plot is really bare bones. Unlike the actual villains of the game.
Yeah, the villains are way more interesting than Morag is. And more interesting than Fetish Gremlin.
Definitely more interesting than Fetish Gremlin.
Are you sure?
See, that's the thing. I like Poppy as a character way more than I like Fetish Gremlin.
She's got a much more interesting character. He's like Bridget. Bridget is a much more interesting character arc than her driver. And then the actual villains, like the Torna villains, who are like the primary villains throughout the game, have more interesting stories than most of them. It's...
The Blades themselves all have a lot of interesting character arcs because they all have to come to terms with being a Blade and what that means and how you're past and how can you affect the world. And that's sort of the general crux of the villains in Torna. They're all Blades of some form or another.
Yeah, they're all flesh eaters because they all...
Except for... what's his name? No. The guy who's a Blade Eater.
Oh. No, there's no Blade Eater.
Yeah,
they're all flesh eaters.
The blonde guy. He's human.
Oh, right, Mikhail is human. Okay, yeah. You're right. Mikhail is a human who ate his blade, and... no, is he?
Yeah, he is. He's human.
And then all the rest of them are Blades who ate their masters.
Yeah.
And became flesh eaters. And they all have, like, reasons for being as fucked up as they do. I mentioned earlier that Jin ate his girlfriend. He does. Like... And he does it because he doesn't want anyone to ever forget that she existed. So he's going to live forever so that somebody's always around to remember her.
Mostly it's just he didn't want himself to forget that she existed.
Yeah. Like the last words that his dead girlfriend eventually tells him are like, oh, I don't want to be forgotten, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that was weird because he keeps her in a giant block of ice on his ship.
Yeah.
And
Which
that's...
I thought
never addressed.
I thought that was going to be a big plot point. Like, oh, his whole motivation is he's going to save his dead girlfriend. No, she's just there. She's just kind of a decoration in his room. It's really fucking weird.
Is it missing a few chunks?
I'm assuming so. He's probably covered them up. Like,
oh, that's good.
The teeth marks.
Yeah.
like yeah, and she's just like in a chunk of ice in the background, and he occasionally looks at her and is like, yeah.
That's
but or just stands in front of her muttering to himself, brooding.
And then Mikhail crashes the ship and gets her fucking killed again. Like, it's so weird that she's there. I think that's like an artifact of the old plot before things changed. I don't know. If there was an old plot, I have no idea. I have no perception of the development of this game.
Yeah, so...
They have more... Oh, go ahead.
There's Jin and there's Malos. And we haven't really talked about Malos yet.
Malos is the actual villain of the game. Like, he's the actual antagonist. But he's kind of an unwitting antagonist, almost, in a way.
He doesn't know why he does the things that he does.
Yes, so, a little bit of a story. There's another villain in the game called Amalthus, and he's an evil drow man for some reason.
He's kind of a villain. At first, he shows up and like, I'm the best. Let me help you for no reason.
He's a giant bird pope.
Yeah,
Giant bird pope.
He is giant bird pope. And immediately when I saw him, I'm like, that guy's a villain. That guy's an asshole secretly. Well, he's helping us way too much.
He looks like a fucking dark elf.
Oh, he
or like
does.
a night elf from World of Warcraft. Like, he is like long pointed ears. Nobody else in the game has these features, by the way.
They
Like,
mention
not a single other character.
They mention what species he's at one point.
Not to mention,
and they say that's the reason he's so long lived. In addition to him being Malos's driver.
I feel like one of the implications is he's been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah,
and they never explain that.
Well, no, they do explain that. They just say his species is long lived.
Okay, so when you go to make a blade, you touch the little crystal thingy, you resonate, that makes the blade, and the blade adopts traits of the person who creates it. So Amalthus goes to the World Tree one day, and he's like, I'm gonna fucking climb the World Tree, yo! And he does! He actually gets to the top, and he meets with their god, called the Architect, who's just a nerd who fucked up, and takes 2 of these really powerful core crystals from him called the Aegises. One of them is green, and that's gonna eventually become Mithra Numa, and the other one's purple, and that's eventually gonna become Malos. So he activates Malos, but at this point, Amalthus is kind of a nihilist. He was working with the church during a big war when a lot of people got killed. He has a general disdain for human beings. It's one of the motivations why he climbs the tree, is because he kind of hates everybody and thinks that everything is meaningless and fuck it, let's kill everything.
There's a scene in his backstory. Yeah, I'm gonna go in this. There's a scene in his backstory where he is in this war zone and he runs into this guy who's killed this family in this house and is looting their house. And him being the righteous guy kills this guy and is like, you deserve this. But then Amalthus sees that in this house, this family that were murdered have this baby, and the baby's just crying, and he's like, oh, he picks up the baby and he walks out of the house, and you think, oh, maybe he's the good guy, he's gonna be saving the innocent and punishing the wicked. But no, as he's walking away, you just get a shot of his back, and the baby is crying. And from the shot of his back, the baby just stops crying. And you're only left to think, did Amalthus just kill a baby?
It's like, this game is, I think it's rated, it's T for teen. So, with baby killing. Implied baby killing. Implied baby killing. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but yeah, implied baby killing. So he's a nihilistic piece of shit. Yeah. And he awakens Malos, who adopts that nihilism for himself. And doesn't really understand why, but he wants to kill everything. And there's a big war, and then he comes back later, and he turns out to be the real villain of the story. His whole goal to wipe out everything, he spreads that to the rest of the Sephiroth-looking motherfuckers, Jin, Petroka, Mikhail, and Akos, who make up Torna, who are the villain faction. Yeah. And they all are nihilistic assholes who want to kill everything because society has somehow, outcasted them.
One thing I never got was, it wasn't really clear who was leading Torna. Was it Jin or was it Malos? Because it seemed like they all followed Jin.
Yeah, so Jin seemed to be the leader of Torna, but Malos was the reason that Torna existed. Him and Malos are kind of partners, I guess?
Okay, yeah.
It starts out, they definitely code Jin as the villain pretty early on, with him being a Sephiroth.
He wears a mask, he has a sword, he's very mysterious.
He kills the main character in the first hour of the game.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of weirdness to that, which, I think Torna is effectively well fleshed out. Like, we meet all of the characters, eventually we fight every character once or twice, and then at the end they all get kind of a redemption. Like, Mikhail crashes their ship to try and protect Rex. Petroka tries to protect Rex from Amalthus. Jin kills Amalthus and them. And, who's the other one? Akos. Can't remember how Akos dies. It's probably stupid.
Akos!
Yeah, I can't remember. Also, their submarine is a mech.
Yeah.
And it fights a giant bird that Bird Pope... It's anime bullshit. It's anime.
Bird Pope fights a giant mech. It's basically
Bird Pope's
Pacific
giant
Rim.
bird with a church on his back fights a giant submarine mech. That's part of the climax of the game.
That sounds awesome, actually.
It is basically Pacific Rim.
Yeah, they all get to the World Tree and they're going up the World Tree, and it turns out the World Tree is actually a space elevator. surprise, and it's all super technological. It's like, oh, there was a civilization here before. What the fuck?
Essentially, the story is Rex and the giant beanstalk.
It is. And he gets to the top and he has to fight a giant robot. It's
Rex and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
All right, I can live with that.
But yeah, all of the Torna characters get this really satisfying redemption arc at the end. And they all, like, pretty much all of them are dead, actually. They all die at the end.
Yeah.
Petroka's killed, Mikhail's killed, Akos is killed, Jin dies, and
Amalthus turns into this crazy, like, T-Rex-looking tentacle monster.
And he fuses himself with a door. Like, it is the most JRPG thing ever. He's
and he's not even the final boss.
Giant anime titties. Tentacles.
Never interact.
Good.
Well, I mean, the giant anime titties help you beat the shit.
No, they never interact.
That's
the
good.
titties and the tentacles.
Actually, that's true. Then, like, Amalthus has got like this passing interest. He's never interested in like taking Pyromithra. He's just like, fuck it, do whatever you want. I'm gonna kill you all anyways.
Well, yeah, he's implied to be the one who gave the Aegis core initially to the old hero, Adam.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Like,
They
ever really flesh out why he does that.
They mention it in a cutscene, but he says that he should give it to somebody to stop Malos. Because at that point, he's still got a vested interest in not destroying the world until 500 years of nihilism turns him into a megalomaniacal idiot.
Yeah, he's also the reason that all the Titans are disappearing.
Yeah, he is.
Which is one of the other driving forces of the game, which is brought up at the very beginning of the game and then dropped immediately.
The Titans and core crystals.
Yeah.
Let's get into that.
Okay, so there's this whole... Do you want to explain it, or do you want me to?
Go ahead.
So there's this whole cycle of like life and death in the game that characterizes a lot of the stories. It kind of centralizes the themes. When the architect fucked up his science experiment and created a new universe, he wiped out humanity, blew up the world, everything died. Okay, and that sucks for everybody. So he injected these nanomachines into the sky, and they became clouds that cover everything. Big cloud sea. Yeah.
Bespin.
Bespin, yeah.
Okay.
That works. Klaus is kind of... You know what? That's a bad joke. I'm not going to go there.
No, that's fine. It's all good.
Yeah. So he injects all these nanomachines out in the world. They're basically breaking down all the old world shit. And then he creates these like biological titans to work as continents to create life. The whole idea is that they're supposed to like spur an evolution and create new forms. And he releases all these like blades into the world. And what blades are is they're essentially a computer program that gathers data from everything around them, like genetic information, biological information, all of that. They gather all of that up over multiple sequences, so when they're bound to a person. Then when that person dies, they upload all of that data to a giant data bank. And Pyra, or I should say Numa, the Aegises are actually in charge of that data bank. They're essentially super processors, AIs.
Okay, cool.
There's actually 3 of them, and one of them is just disappears?
No, one of them is the Monado from Xenoblade Chronicles 1.
Right, that's what it is.
Because when he accidentally creates a new universe, one of the cores goes with it. It's weird. Interesting fact about this game, both Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 1 happen at the same time. Because when you go in and meet Klaus at the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, at the same time the party in Xenoblade Chronicles 1 is about to fight him in the other universe and kill him, and that's why he's dying.
So we reached full multiverse.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous.
It's a cluster fuckery.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
It is absolutely fucking bizarre. But, and then he dies and everything fucks up.
Oh.
But, where was I? Right, I was talking about... So, Blades over time gather up all this information, and eventually they enter into a cocoon stasis.
Yeah.
And grow into Titans, new Titans. And then they use all the information that they gathered to create new life. And this was Klaus's way of fixing his fuck up, because he basically killed everybody. So he's using these Titans to cultivate new life while his nanomachines fix everything below. And at the end of the game, like, the nanomachines all die and go away, and then there's a new continent that they've built. And all of the Titans crash into it, and all the animals, so it's like a bunch of Noah's Arks.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers alert.
We gave that way earlier.
Oh yeah, we've been sitting on spoiler alert for fucking 32 minutes.
More than that.
At least.
But
20 minutes for video time.
I don't know how much it's going to be in editing. Matt, take whatever I just said and put the actual time. But we, so that's how the world kind of works, and it's got a weird logical consistency to it. I liked a lot, and it's interesting to the story. It's very deep, and thought-provoking.
I particularly like the way that they made each of the Titans, the big major Titan countries, into sort of different entities. They all have a different culture, and you were going to talk about voice acting.
Oh, yeah. So one of the things I love about this game is... So this game has both the best and the worst voice direction I've ever seen.
Yeah.
First of all, you've got this shit. Of Rex, like... Rex's incredibly forced, cringy as fuck screaming. And then you have... And then you have the presence of mind to specifically tailor your voice acting to regions. So you can tell where a character in the game is from based on how they speak. So,
that's really cool.
Characters from the Gormati region all have like this thick Welsh accent.
Recently, they've been recruiting drivers from all over.
The pool of potentials is ever shrinking. They must have run out of candidates in the military.
What do you mean by potentials? I'm not sure I follow.
Just see for yourself.
Characters from more Ardain have this more like...
Is precisely the kind of scenario that I mean to prevent.
And what if we resist?
Then I will have to restrain you by force.
Thing going for them, like...
That's unfortunate.
And then characters for like ancient characters like the Blades and a couple of Datorna characters all have more American accents.
Sorry, kid. I can't let the likes of you just claim her power for yourself.
Hello there. Still awake, I see.
I can't seem to sleep.
Accents because they're from Torna, which had American accents apparently.
Of course.
Yeah.
And which
it's not the first game to have done that too. I don't know if anybody who watching this video has played Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yes,
did that
they
as
did
well.
As well.
And they did very good with the voice acting.
Yeah, it's really cleverly done. I love that kind of presence of mind. But then you match it against
Aegis like that. However,
some of the really fucking cringy deliveries that this game has. It balances out. I guess it's weird.
Yeah, the voice direction in it is... I respect it based on just how much voice work they put into the game. Mm-hmm. There is so much dialogue in this game.
There's like 400 fucking cutscenes. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. There's
10
a
hours
lot.
at least.
At least.
But is it Final Fantasy X, laughing on the bridge, Tidus and Yuna?
Okay.
Yes.
Here.
Yeah, oh dear.
So the subtitled or the Japanese voices with English subs you can download.
Okay, because I find that might make the screaming slightly better, because with enough anime watching, you get a little desensitized to the ridiculous screaming, but the minute you watch the exact same scene in English, voice actor or no voice actor, that happens.
Yeah, that's
I also think that the voice actors that they chose for this aren't used to doing overdubbing, because they were not good at syncing up to the characters on screen's lips flaps.
There's a couple of like pretty well-known voice actors.
Either that, or they didn't have the video on screen while they were dubbing. They were just saying lines into a mic with nothing to look at.
I think the English voice actress for Nia is like an actual actress.
Really? Okay.
All of this for you. We'll do it together. We'll find out together.
So I guess we could talk about graphical fidelity, stuff like that.
Yeah, the production design on the game is really high quality. It's polished like a lot. The music's fantastic. You said it was by
Chrono Trigger. So the guy working for Monolith Soft who did a lot of the composing for this, there were a couple composers, but one of them is the composer of Chrono Trigger, like the soundtrack for Chrono Trigger. And that guy's amazing for doing like songs that get you super fucking hyped up. He's also really good at walking bass lines. Like, I'm gonna put some examples in a second here. But you can hear, like, listen to the bass line in these two songs. They're, like, very similar. That just clicked in my head. That's a weird thing to say. Soundtrack is really fucking good, okay? Just go with that.
Yeah, it is. And the graphics are pretty good. The Switch handles pretty much everything at high frame rates and high
it's good.
Graphics.
The one thing I've noticed that with the Switch is the fidelity kind of drops a little bit when you go to handheld.
See, I played the whole game in handheld.
Yeah. I played the whole game in dock. So, whenever I would pull it to handheld, it looks muddier. I feel like they changed anti-aliasing or something on that.
Maybe.
Isn't it limited to 30 frames in handheld mode versus up to 60 and true HD on there versus 720 on the screen?
I haven't even played the game. I haven't even fucking played the game. You lying son of a bitch.
I'm not saying I know nothing about it.
Yeah, that is one aspect as well. When it's docked, you've got a better frame rate generally.
Yes.
Which is weirdly the opposite of Breath of the Wild.
It is.
Which in Breath of the Wild, when you pulled it into handheld, you got a way better frame rate, and when you were docked, you had worse frame rate.
Like a pleb.
Which is just, I mean, I guess the Switch is just a weird methodical labyrinth of weird design choices.
I guess.
Either way, the graphics look good. The world design is fucking brilliant. I love.
Yeah.
Every zone is beautiful. Even the rocky and boring as shit Temperantia, which is basically just a rocky field in the middle of butt fucking nowhere with nothing going on.
And dinosaurs.
There's dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs that will fuck you right the hell up.
Yeah, randomly just wandering around. So the zone's designed for level 40 players. They dropped a bunch of level 90 T-Rexes in it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Excuse me. I guess I just choked on pretentiousness.
Life.
It was no.
I'm the one you want to get rid of? I said life. He said dick. Did you say it's some sort of advanced 3D plus cel-shaded sort of art style? Because
yeah,
that's what I find in this. It's a little like Uncanny Valley for someone like me who is a filthy casual. I find the graphics to be quite beautiful, yet vibrant, yet almost a little too anime at times.
Well, yeah, it's very anime. Like, they're going for an anime-looking aesthetic, and they did. In all fairness, it looks a lot better than Berserk 2016.
Well, a wet lumpy
Which is an
shoe
actual anime.
looks a lot better than Berserk 2016.
But it also kind of falls short of other things, like Dragon Ball Z Fighter that came out earlier this year. Just looks fucking beautiful.
Yeah, that is how you do cell-shaded anime
Mind you,
style.
that's a
perfectly.
That's a fighting game, so they don't really have to focus on as much. Like, they do a bunch of world shit.
It looks like their backgrounds are this big.
For graphics, I would say it looks like a Tales game with a budget.
Yeah.
It really does.
And for an open world game with like expanses and expanses of 3D models, like there is so much content in this game that I'm just impressed with how well they did for not taking 10 years to make this game.
Absolutely. That's something I wanted to touch on as well, for the fact that I am quite apprehensive when it comes to big scale projects on such tiny processing power. The fact that they made this game look the way it did, it actually impressed me, which is saying something.
It's got like 10 or so zones, I think, and they're all visually distinct and interesting and huge.
They're pretty big, yeah.
Like walking from one end of Tantal to the other takes you like a solid 10 minutes.
And yeah, Tantal is an interesting one because it's sort of split into two levels. There's the upper level where you're going across these like pillars on the top of these and islands, and then the whole bottom level is still being rendered, even though it's really far down, and if you fall, you'll just die.
It really does show that the Switch can be a good, powerful system, despite it
reasonably powerful,
not coming close to like the PS4 or the Xbox One, or definitely not even close to a good PC. The Switch is solid in its ability to render this game, and I'm really impressed by that. I was really worried when the Switch came out, when Breath of the Wild was having all those frame rate problems.
It was.
Like, those were really bad. I was scared that the system was not going to be able to hold up to big, interesting games, but Xenoblade has proved me wrong in that, and I'm now much happier. Same with Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey did the same thing.
Hashtag optimization.
We should actually get to the meat of the matter, though.
Yeah,
probably
the game.
The game. Holy shit! This is a video game too, guys. Just
There's a game here.
There's a game.
I was unaware.
It's not just 10 hours of cutscenes.
It's
I
not
thought we were
just
watching an anime.
It's not just a choose your own adventure anime. It is a video game. And,
okay, choose your own adventure is pretty stretching it. You don't choose much.
That's true. This is a very limited.
You don't really choose anything.
Hold up. You make the most important choice in the game.
What's that?
Which of the two bipolar waifus you want. Basically, it's an open world RPG. You wander around large, expansive zones, and you fight monsters and all that good stuff. You go on main quests and side quests to do stuff. But this game has got a metric shit ton of things to do. So in my playthrough, I knocked out 225 hours total. I think you were around.
Mine was 125.
125.
Yeah.
So that's a lot for like a game. Persona 5 took me 100 hours to finish, and I like to think that I went hard on that game too. But Xenoblade has got a staggering amount of stuff to do. You have, of course, each of your characters can be leveled up to level 99, all the old school RPG stuff. There's a tree for each character to unlock passives through points which you earn through performance in combat. However good you do, you get more points. Using chain attacks can increase the number of points you get as well. And you unlock this tree, which you're usually going to unlock by halfway through the game because it's super short. And then all of the blades, all 40-something of the rare blades, and all infinity of the trash common blades that nobody cares about.
Oh, God.
Have a tree called an Affinity Tree. And it is essentially a massive list of quests that you do for the blade in order to power them up. Some of them are just like, go to this zone and kill 5 boars. And some of them are actual quests with voice acting and cutscenes and all that stuff.
And some of them are shovel this amount of this specific food into their gullet.
Oh, yeah. The most effective way to level up their trust, which unlocks more of the Affinity Tree, is to just shove food in their mouths. Not even food they like.
Just food.
So I got to close to the end of the game, and I decided I wanted to kind of wrap things up. So I took all of the blades, and I wanted to max out their trees. And the most efficient way to do that is to get a food that they don't like, because blades have foods they like, or foods they like, and give them exclusively hundreds of that food. Specifically because every time you give them a food they like, they do this little voice chime. It's like, oh, I like that so much. That takes more time and isn't worth it. So you give them like food that they don't hate for hours.
So it's skill tree foie gras.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it is.
And that unlocks all of the affinity nodes, and then you do the quests in those affinity nodes to power up the blade, and then you start New Game Plus and realize that you are so fucking overpowered it's not even funny.
Yeah.
But every single one of the blades has it. All the rare blades have about 44 nodes, so that's like a shit ton of content right there. Because that's all stuff you have to go out and do. It's 99% of it is like, go fight these monsters, collect these items, talk to these people, complete this quest.
Now, my question for a game with that much content, though, does it suffer from Skyrim-itis or Witcher 3-itis, where for a newcomer or someone who can't dedicate 4 to 6 hours a day to the game, where you look at the map, you look at your quest markers, and you just sit there and go, well, shit.
Well, see, here's the thing, because you basically 100%ed the game.
No, I didn't.
Well,
I got
you
close.
came a lot closer than I did. I mostly beelined the story, and it's not distracting to have all of those quests, because you get quests, but there's not actually that many of them. There's no markers all over the map.
Okay, cool.
It doesn't give you markers unless you're in a specific quest. It only gives you the marker for that quest.
Yeah, you can
It's not open world-itis where you have to go explore every spot and unlock every area. No, you can just go and do a thing and then come back. Or the quests are kind of more story-based.
Yeah, the actual side quests are rather in-depth, actually. They take a good bit of time, and they've got a whole bunch of different steps and story little tidbits in them. The Affinity Chart side quests are like these 5-minute bites. Like you could, if you use fast travel, you could
go to this area and kill 10 of these with this blade.
Yeah, and it's very simplistic, and like you could do a bunch of those in like a 2-hour sitting, or instead of like clearing the whole thing in 6.
Okay. But you don't need to do them.
Oh yeah, they're minor enough. It's not like Skyrim-itis where like every cave you see has like a real tangible potential benefit. These are minor enough that you could max out Pyramithra and never ever look at another one.
But aren't there specific skills you get out of the Affinity Tree that if you don't focus on early game, later game, you actually end up kind of getting stuck?
Not really, because
I heard strength was one of those things.
You can always go back, first off.
Yeah.
And second off, they're generally not huge power increases. Like, it's not like... There's a couple of them
You don't unlock abilities generally with them. All the abilities you have are abilities that you have. These skill tree items just make them better.
They're passives.
They're all passive,
bonus.
yeah.
There are a couple of things that that are a good idea to level, which are field skills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody's got field skills, which allow you to...
Field skills is stuff you use out of combat.
Yeah, like opens paths, or lets you get
open
pathways.
It's basically like that. But I found in my playthrough that I didn't even do a lot of those.
Yeah.
I didn't get those characters up to that level, because what you can do is you can just stack common blades with those field skills.
Not even that.
On your teams and just do it.
Oh, okay.
If they all have a level 1, that just stacks.
One thing I noticed about going through the main story with those is the main story tends to focus on a very few specific ones of those. Focus, fire mastery, super strength. These are all skills.
Lockpicking.
Lockpicking as well once later on in the game.
Yeah.
But once you get to a certain point, you start noticing these are all skills on the default blades. You're leveling up anyways because you have to keep them
you're
on.
using them, yeah.
You can't take those blades off. So I never ran it for the main quest. For side quests, they all had different ones. Like Xenobia's requires you to get all of these fucking skills up. But for the main quest stuff, you really don't run into that problem very often.
Fair enough.
So long as you're using Pyramithra, you're going to unlock all of the fire mastery and all of the focus. As long as you use Poppy, you're going to get all the super strength.
Yeah.
Yes, the tiny robot girl, super strength.
So she's a super strengthened sex robot?
Yes.
Combat is also very loud.
Yes, so...
Believe it.
It's constantly just verbal spewing of various
verbal
things.
Diarrhea.
I came to a point where I would get into combat and I would just mute it.
Well, so how combat works is you've got 3 party members.
Yeah.
Who've got their blades and they're doing their thing.
I believe that.
And each party member has 3 attacks that they use, and then they've got their auto attack. And then they can also use special abilities with their blade, which there's different levels of.
Yeah.
Every time that you do one of their special abilities or one of their attacks, they call out the name of the attack. So they'll be like, rolling smash!
Severely
or like...
Animu bullshit.
Yeah, I hate... That's one thing I don't like about anime.
And all the Tales game had that too.
Yeah. Where they call out the name of their attack before they do it, which is...
Spirit Slash.
Tactically a really stupid idea.
It is technically the stupidest idea.
But,
not that I would know.
So what happens is when you get 3 party members all calling out every attack they do.
There's a Tales combat.
And then you have blades shooting out barks when they have a meter between the blade and the driver called affinity, and the higher the affinity goes, the more powerful the driver gets. So the blades have barks to tell you how their affinity is doing. They'll be like, "We're really kicking ass. You can do this."
Just like
and
that.
then of course the character attached to it will reply to that. So they'll be like, I like that attitude," or "I like your attitude," is Rex.
Just like that.
So you have 3. Every time they do an attack, they're screaming something.
Yeah.
Every time they there's a status change, they scream something, and then when you use special attacks, they scream more things. So you'll activate a special and they'll be like, whatever the fuck this special is called, and then they do some bark afterwards. They also have random barks in between, like, "We can do this with the power of friendship," and combat becomes this like loud clusterfuck of everybody yelling.
I no longer live in fear. We beat them with the power of friendship.
And colors.
And shiny colors.
And particle effects on the screen. And then suddenly, like a QuickTime event.
Oh yeah, QuickTime events, which I'll talk to in a second. And combat, when you actually boil down the combat, it's actually really slow. The whole point of the combat is all the characters have an auto attack.
Yeah.
You walk up to them and they go.
It's like a 3-hit auto attack. They just bash, bash, bash. You want to activate your skills right on the third auto attack.
Yeah. Like right after it.
And that gives you more of your special meter, which you then use to do specials.
Which are elemented, and you use different element combinations to do different chains of combos.
And then once you've done those combos, they create a seal, which the seal then makes them resistant to the element that you comboed, and it locks one of their abilities.
Yeah.
And then once you have a couple of these seals up, you do a chain attack, which is literally turns into a turn-based RPG.
Yeah.
On the spot. Everybody just kind of like goes one after the other and does their special attacks.
Yeah, and with quick time events.
And then you break these fucking seals that you put on them. And every time you break a seal, you get another turn at your little turn-based RPG mode. And then if you manage to break enough seals, you get what's called a full burst, where everybody attacks at once. And if you kill the enemy with that, you get bonus experience and items.
Yeah.
So you want to do that as much as possible.
That is the gameplay.
That is the gameplay.
All right, time for a smoke break.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't smoke. I don't condone that. Continue.
It's when you actually play it, and once you get to the point where you can ignore the fucking cacophony that is. Not to mention, enemies have barks too.
Oh yeah, they do.
Don't forget me.
Think you can take me?
Oh god.
So there was a bug like true JRPG.
Yeah,
yes.
Hard edge. So early in the game, they had a bug. I don't know if it was a bug, but it was definitely not intended because they patched it the fuck out. But there were these Ardanian soldier dudes who were just like guys with rifles, and one of their combat barks was "Don't forget me," and then another one that was "You think you can take me?"
You can take me?
But they would combat bark that every 2 seconds.
Oh.
So the whole combat was like, "Don't forget me! Don't forget me!
Think you can take me? Don't forget me!"
So much that it became a fucking meme unto itself. It was like arrow in the knee for Xenoblade.
It was.
Don't forget me.
Oh my god, it was so. And then you've got 3 party members and their blades all screaming at the same time, and you're just like, shut up, just shut up. Shut up! I don't need to know that you're doing a rolling smash!
It's even funnier.
I just hit the button for rolling smash!
It's even funnier when, in story, this is supposed to be a stealth combat.
Oh yeah,
perfect.
The first time that really comes up, they're sneaking onto an airship.
Yeah.
And in order to break somebody out of prison, and the combat is...
Think you can take me?
Don't forget me! So fucking silly. And then,
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll be honest. I have to be in the mood for that combat.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I got used to it eventually.
You do get used to it.
You do. I mean, as I said, I have played JRPGs before that do this, and eventually, for example, the last one, Till the End of Time.
Star Ocean?
Star Ocean.
Yeah.
Star Ocean Till the End of Time does the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And you get kind of used to it midway through the game when you're like, okay, this is the 3,000th time I'm about to see him start combat with heel kick. So you get used to it, but at the same time, it's just the noise. I get the noise.
I don't understand why JRPGs do this. Like, why? So Final Fantasy X was good.
Bullshit.
Final Fantasy X is really good for that because it has combat barks.
It does.
But they're super rare.
They are.
Like, they almost never actually come up.
Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
Really?
10 has combat barks.
Yeah, it does.
It's the first Final Fantasy to have combat barks because it's the first voice Final Fantasy.
First voice, sort of, though. I don't recall
They have
much.
a couple.
It's really...
That's the thing, it's really played down.
Yeah, like Yojimbo comes in and he'll do something.
In fact, the old Xenosaga games, which were basically the spiritual prequel to this.
They were. That was my initial thing when they came out.
That's where Cosmos comes from. And they had combat barks too.
They did.
But they were also really rare. And now we have the age of Tales and Xenoblade, where everybody screams constantly because I don't know, people really like combat barks in the early 2000s.
Yeah, but at the same time, you do know to the developers of the video games, you do know you can do that right. Very recently, Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chirping between all 4 characters in the combat, but it's all contextual. For example, if you do a blindside or a link attack, they specifically, if they don't go link attack, they specifically note position of enemy and everything. And I mean, I understand that's a whole different budget, a whole different ball game when it comes to
that's like
game.
top tier.
That's top tier production, but at the same time, like their combat parts and all their chirping was exactly what you'd expect out of 4 dude bros.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you don't need to scream the name of the attack as you're doing the attack. The player knows what the attack is because they just hit the fucking button.
We mapped it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, every single time you do a rolling smash, he says, rolling smash! It's tiring.
But does it get funnier if you do it in Japanese?
I have no idea. I haven't done that. My question is, if you turn on subtitles on the Japanese audio, do you get all the voice barks at the same time? Would it, like, fill up the screen?
Oh my god.
I don't think you get subtitles for barks.
I hope not.
That would be really funny, though. Just like
that'd just be
you just got like the one line of text that's like the first, right after you crash your plane in Nier Automata, where the robot is just like rapidly spouting off everything that's gone wrong. It's going so fast you can't even read it in the text bubble before it's gone. That would be amazing. Yeah, that's the gameplay. It's actually really fun. There's of course like various monster types and unique monsters that you can fight in the field. Super bosses, which make games with super bosses.
Yeah.
Super bosses are super fucking fun.
Xenoblade's pretty good for that. Just even, you can wander into an area that is very high level, and you'll get your shit pushed in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's...
Oh, and they do the
fudge packing.
Yeah.
They do the World of Warcraft Burning Crusade thing where they have obscenely high-level monsters just kind of wandering around low-level zones.
Oh, that's
like the
cool.
Fell Reavers from Hellfire Peninsula that give me nightmares to this day. But
Memories. Take a trip down memory lane.
I've now fulfilled my contractual obligation and referenced Burning Crusade in this video. But what was I talking about? Right. Super bosses and like unique monsters, special loot, all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
All that's in the game as well, and some of these unique monster fights take like 10 or 15 minutes. Because despite all the shit going on in combat's actually really methodical.
Yeah, you plan out your combos. You gotta do, now I gotta do this one. Now I gotta do one that ends in this element. Now I gotta break the elements.
You gotta switch my blade to this one so I can do this element.
Because you change up your blades in combat, you change up your combos. I think we should talk about blades now, though.
We can talk about
blades. The blades mechanics. Like,
I kind of touched on that earlier, but yeah.
All the blades have different elements, and you do combos with them.
They're all different weapons, so they give the driver different weapons.
There's different classes. There's a healer class. There's a... tank, there's an attack class.
But are the weapons severely animated?
Oh my god, yes.
Yes, they are.
Holy shit.
Are they over the top? As if a 3-year-old left alone with a particle.
My favorite blade,
generator.
and a blade that I personally identify with, is named Zenobia. Her whole deal is her stats are all oriented towards fighting bosses.
Sorry, what?
Her stats are all oriented towards fighting bosses. She gets
right, I
bonuses
thought you said something different.
What did you think I said?
I think
her sexual orientation is
we'll play a video.
She's what you call a bossosexual.
Yes, I was like, what?
But her weapon is a giant two-handed axe, and she cackles like a fucking crazy person in combat, and it's hilarious.
If I had a two-handed axe, I too would cackle like a crazy person.
And she has a reckless disregard for wearing a shirt.
Well, much like many of the characters in this game.
That's true.
Little known fact, Dr. Keith has a reckless disregard for wearing shirts.
Unlike a lot of the characters in this game, though, you don't want to see that.
It's alright, it's not bad. I'd recommend it.
So there are 40-some rare blades in the game.
46.
46?
I just said a random number.
Okay. Well, you get I think 7 or 8 for the story. Pandoria, Poppy 1 through 3.
You can just look it up.
Do you get these in loot boxes?
Mithra, Dromok.
You do get these blades in loot boxes.
Can you buy those loot boxes with real life money?
No, you cannot.
Good.
So the primary way to unlock rare blades, a bunch of them you get from quests, but other ones you get through core crystals, and you find core crystals in the world, and
there's different levels of rarity of core crystal.
Yeah,
and the more likely to get a unique blade, the higher the rarity is.
So you got common core crystals, which spit out common trash,
and you just spend hours opening these hundreds of core crystals, being like, common, discard, common, discard, common, discard.
All on a quest to unlock the next waifu.
So little known fact, 30 hours of Dr. Key's 125-hour playtime was discarding common sword
crystals. See, that might be a joke to him. It was not a joke for me.
Well, there you go.
Not a joke for me at all. I unlocked all the blades, and
I unlocked
almost fucking killed me.
I unlocked all but 3 of the blades.
Yes. But mind you, they get harder to unlock as
they
you
do, and I didn't ever unlock the really ridiculous one,
there's
Cosmos.
40-something rare blades in the game. I think they added 7 or 8 more to New Game Plus.
Yeah.
Which is all of the Torna blades and all the Torna characters who are cool.
Yeah.
And you get most of them through this RNG bullshit, which you spend hours farming bosses and super bosses throughout the game for legendary core crystals, which you crack open only to get some common trash blade and throw them away.
Unfortunate.
And each of these rare blades has got unique properties and unique bonuses, which determines how they play. And then you kind of build a build around 3 of these.
But most importantly, though, when you get a common blade, how often does it have cat ears?
Surprisingly often.
Surprisingly often, yeah.
There's a
Is it surprising?
It's not surprising.
Are they wearing shirts?
They are.
Yes,
they're like robots. The ones you get are like robots.
Oh.
But there's a specific subset. There's 4 different kinds of common blade you can get. There's generic man, generic woman, generic giant dude, and generic dog.
And a Dr. Manhattan. Nope.
No.
Just me. Unfortunately.
Those are the common blades, yeah.
These are the common blades.
But they're basically just like robot people. And they even have like a robot voice. And
look like robots.
yeah, they look like robots
people.
and all that shit. But the generic female blade has a chance to spawn with cat ears. And they spawn with cat ears like fucking all the time.
Yeah, they do.
What is Japan's obsession with cat girls?
I never understood it.
Why not dog girls?
They have that
one.
too.
We've talked at length about this game at this point. We've talked about the gameplay, we've talked about the story, we've talked extensively about the story, the world building, technical aspects. I think it's time that we wrap this shit up because we've been talking forever.
Yeah, we have.
And I think Op is starting to get a little bit irritated with us.
They have me sitting on a metal chair back here.
Could have given you one of the better ones.
We have nicer chairs. You're, in fact, sitting right next to you with my laptop on it because you're controlling what's on the screen there for visual aids. Is a way nicer chair than the one you're sitting on. They're the same size.
A little metal chair, and they gave the laptop a nice cushioned, nice.
You can trade with the laptop. The laptop's not sentient. It doesn't care.
Are you sure? Because we just talked about sentient laptops for the last 3 hours.
Yeah, we did.
That's very true. So I think it's time that we actually wrapped up and came to a conclusion about this game.
Yeah.
So let's start with you, Dr. Keith. What are your thoughts on Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and would you recommend it?
I had a lot of fun with this game. I was mostly drawn in for the story. The story is like well thought out, it's linear, it gets you engaged in the characters, and it's a lot of fun. The gameplay is sort of less of a thing, it's pretty loud, it's a bit obnoxious, but it's still fun once you get the hang of it. I would recommend this game for anybody who's into JRPGs, or watches a lot of anime, and is used to the tropes therein. It's a lot of fun for anybody who's like that.
Okay. I like the game too, but for the completely opposite reason. I like the story at all. It's functional, it's good, it makes sense. There's a world there that they go out of their way to build up really effectively, but I think that the gameplay is where it wins me, and I think a lot of the people watching this who've played Xenoblade Chronicles could call that. It's slow, it's methodical, it's this thought-out structure of building on combos, on combos, on combos to set up these huge finishing moves. And I really like that about the game. It's definitely a game that has a lot of fun, especially if you're like an MMORPG player. I would call this a faster, more interesting Final Fantasy XII. It's got kind of similar combat to that. And somebody in the comments is going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about, Orange Chatter. And that's fine. You can be wrong. But I love the gameplay. I love the world building. I love the weird JRPG progression systems that this has got. And yeah, I would absolutely recommend this to anybody who really likes JRPGs. Anybody who enjoyed stuff like Final Fantasy XII. Or even the Tales games. Definitely the Tales games. People who love those games would absolutely fucking eat this shit up. And even some people who might play like Final Fantasy XIV. I know a lot of you guys watch this show. You would love this game, most likely. But the most important question, our odd man out, Mark, who has not played the game, based on all of the shit we've talked about for the last, 4 or 5 hours, would you play this game?
Yes, I
would.
Now, obviously that comes from a little bit of a background here that I do want to play the game, but that is also because of the fact that I have played a lot of JRPGs over the past 10 or 15 years, so I would highly recommend it to someone who plays JRPGs and is aware of what you're about to get into. If you try to get your friend who's into Fable into this, they will most probably walk away and might not talk to you again. But on the other hand, I would play it solely for the big-ass anime titties.
On the other hand, if you have a friend who plays Fable, you should stop being that person's friend because they have terrible taste.
Absolutely.
Fable's a terrible game.
It is. All three of them.
It's not good, no.
It's not good.
Three of them.
All three of them. But last but not least, Op, sitting behind the camera, based on everything we've said today, would you ever play this game?
Fuck no.
Oh god,
big ass anime titties.